I heard nothing about if this game had a good story or if it played well. All I ever heard about was either how Eve is setting unrealistic body expectations, or people being horny, or complaints about censorship, and just a lot of noise from grifters generally. Which is why I was surprised when I finally got around to playing the game and said, wow, not only is this the best game to come out all year, but it's the best game I played in a while. Let's get the obvious out of the way first, so we can actually get into what makes this game really special. Eve herself. Now, I think Eve is fine as hell, obviously, it's pretty obvious. And there's a lot of scenes where it's like, okay, you guys knew what you were doing with that. And I'll say it's a nice change of pace. We don't get games like this very often, because I will say it's still quite tastefully done. It's not all the way crazy. But you guys are being way too horny. It's not that serious, and that goes for both sides. Eve's body is not that crazy and unrealistic. But yes, to have it in the front and back like this is a miracle. But she doesn't have any crazy unrealistic proportions that are super distracting. Like, there's definitely some more provocative costumes. But me personally, I actually prefer the outfits that leave a little something to the imagination. That's why I can't stand you freaks begging for a PC port so you can add nude mods. Have some class. But in terms of what's important, what it plays like, I'd say it's a cross between Armored Core 6 and Sekiro. However, this isn't a Souls-like. You don't lose everything when you die, and the game isn't extremely difficult either. Not to say that the game is a complete breeze. I did die a handful of times, but you'll be okay. The game mixes it up extremely well. It constantly takes breaks from the standard form of combat with things like shooting survival horror type sections or platforming sections, a fishing minigame, these slide types of areas. And I have huge open world fatigue, and I dislike these open areas, semi-open world areas in linear games like that one area in the Lost Legacy and so on. But this game did the open areas really well. I loved this game in the first few hours, and then it started to open up and I did a few side missions and I said, oh brother, this game's about to overstay its welcome, isn't it? But it didn't, and I was surprised. Basically, you do a few main missions and then you unlock all of the side content. And a completionist like myself, I played all the side missions that I could. And I was like, damn, there's so many, like, damn. And then I went to progress the story and I got a notification saying this was a no point of return. I was like, oh damn, that's everything? Like, that's actually not too bad then. There are a lot of fetch quest type side missions. However, everything you do in this game is so rewarding, you don't actually even really care that it's a fetch quest because you're getting something out of it. Because like I said, everything feels rewarding. Down to the combat itself, when you pull off a flashy combo or just the way the parry system works. Normally in these Souls-like, Sekiro type, Lies of P type games, normally when you parry, the animation is delayed. So like, they look like they're gonna swing on you, but they're not gonna swing on you. They hold it for an extra half a second or whatever it may be. In this game, if someone looks like they're gonna swing on you, they're gonna swing on you, and you can just press counter and you can. It's one of the easiest parry systems in a game. The moves that are telegraphed. You don't have to fight a boss hundreds of times over to learn. Okay, so he's gonna hold that swing for that long. That swing I do need to parry as soon as he swings, and there's none of that here. Which obviously makes it a bit easier, but still. The other ways that makes the game feel rewarding is all the collectibles and unlocks and things to find and upgrades, such as different costumes, which are extremely detailed and you get so many of them. Various upgrades for Eve herself, different cans, and documents that add to the story and lore of the game. On top of all of that, these side missions help build out the world of Stellarblade and give you more backstory to everything that's happening and going on. As for the story, it's okay. It's not bad. It's enough to keep you interested, but it's not amazing. And what I will say is that I went on YouTube and I watched a Stellarblade story explain video, and I was like, okay, it pieced it together nicely, and I was like, okay, the story's, it's a bit better than how it was presented. There's some cool themes and ideas here, for sure. There's lots of biblical references here. You live in Zion, and your character's called Eve, and your companion's called Adam, and it's all very much so on the nose. It's not subtle in the slightest. A lot of the times, it even does feel like you get the reference. You get the reference? Not to mention, I don't really like any of the characters either. Eve is okay. She's kind of robotic, but that's supposed to be her character, yet I still feel like it could have been done better. And then Adam I didn't like, and Lily was okay, it was just there. The rest of the supporting cast is just forgettable, and I beat the game 2 days ago. The music in this game though is top tier. This may be the best soundtrack I've heard in years. I'm not even the soundtrack kind of guy, but it was so good here that it stood out to me. And what else did I like about this game before I get into the negatives, which there are many of? The set pieces. For a AA game, there was a lot of set pieces. I wasn't expecting that. And maybe it would be a stretch to say they were that Naughty Dog, Uncharted type of level, because you're not as involved as you are. A lot of the time in those kind of set pieces, you have more player control. Here, it's a lot more QTE set pieces, but I like them regardless. I like the boss battles too here, like especially the ones you get later on in the game. Again, they kind of reminded me of Armored Core 6 in a way, but the designs of the bosses were always visually interesting and unique, just generally speaking. The scenery, the environments, the texture of the clothing, Eve herself, everything about how this game represents itself visually is of the highest quality. It's top tier. But what did I dislike? Not much. Remember what earlier when I said this game mixes it up a lot and gives you lots of different things to do and separates the gameplay? It's like, yes, it did help it make it feel fresh, but I feel like some areas needed a bit more work. Like the platforming for one. It just lacks a certain level of precision and finer control that's necessary. The puzzles can also be a bit and there's no reason for moving around obstacles to be this slow. It was speed it up. There's no reason for this to be something slow. Speed it up. Another area I disliked was I hated every time I had to hop in any kind of water. This is some of the worst swimming controls I played in a while. Again, it just lacks a certain precision, and when it comes to the movement, maneuvering was just kind of stiff and awkward, and it wasn't it. This game feels generally like a PS3 style of game, but in all of the right ways. Just generally, it felt like a breath of fresh air. Just from the set pieces to the action, combat, just all of it. Just being able to unlock this many outfits with 0 microtransactions. There's like 75 plus outfits. And like I said at the start of the video, Eve is just, nice to look at. Easy on the eyes. I'm not one of those freaks that's like, yo, the game was kind of hard for real, but I think it's just because I was playing with one hand. No. It wasn't like that, but dressing up Eve and a little screenshot here, a little video there, it was nice. But Eve's looks aside, the game is great. But I would have never known this because all the media ever talks about was how Eve looked. And this game is considered successful, sure. It's getting a sequel. It sold over 1 million copies, and this is a relatively new studio. It's their first game like this, but I still think this game is heavily slept on because people just look at this like, oh, that's the horny game for these horny weeb anime guys. But it's not that. And it's actually a really solid game with rewarding gameplay and really fun combat. And I am looking forward to the sequel because it is rare we get games like this. And I heavily recommend it.